You're listening to the Chillen with the Dawgs podcast, where we talk sports, mostly football, and a lot about the Browns. Our episodes drop Friday mornings. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. The more we hear from you guys, the better our podcast can be. All right, now let's get into it. Thanks for tuning in to the Chillen with the Dawgs podcast. This is your host, Justice, and I'm here today, again, as always, with my dad,
Jason.
And we're coming back to you after week 1 of the NFL season. Some awesome games, a great Browns win. I think we struggled a little bit with our predictions, but we can kind of get a little bit into that later. Going forward, we're going to just basically say we don't think we did well. But going forward, we'll give you guys the actual scores and how we did. But let's start this off with a Browns victory Tuesday.
Yeah, heck yeah.
We're recording on Tuesday. So how about that win?
I really thought it went kind of like I thought it would. The
Yeah.
defense played great. Deshaun struggled, which I thought he would struggle a little bit. I think mainly it was probably the weather that was the main struggle.
Yeah.
But the offense looked like I thought it would. The defense looked like I thought it would. And I think that I was pretty close to right on the on that game.
As far as the difference between the two, you were much closer than I. I nailed the Browns score. Thought they would get there a little bit differently. Dustin Hopkins came through in the clutch, but
oh yeah, Dustin Hopkins.
Yeah, Dustin Hopkins did real well. But I gave the Bengals a little bit too much credit. I devalued our defense. I'm probably going to do that again this week. But yeah, that game was awesome. It answered any questions anybody ever had about the defense, even though I don't think there was many.
Not really. I mean, it was game 1. I don't think you can put much stock in that game. Because we own the Bengals. Aaron Rodgers owned the Bears, and I would say Cleveland owns the Bengals. I think this week will be a bigger test, maybe. I was not sold on Kenny Pickett to start with, but we'll get into that later.
No, I think that it's definitely hard to say the Browns own the Bengals like Aaron Rodgers owned the Bears. He definitely did that for a long, long time. I hope that that's something that we can turn this into, and it'd be nice to start doing that to all the.
What is the record? What is Burrow's record against the Browns?
He's 1-5 now.
Or even better yet, Zach Taylor's record against the Browns.
But the only thing is that Aaron Rodgers was 100-0 against the.
Well, yeah, Bears. But I don't care because that's Green Bay.
Right.
I'm a Browns fan.
Yep. So I personally think that defense showed me all I needed to know. It was week 1, but that defense just looks special. It did everything that you were hoping it would do as far as bringing all the pressure in the world, covering incredibly, and just making Joe Burrow's day a nightmare. As we were saying, there's definitely questions on offense. You had a key contributor go down in Jack Conklin, but his role was filled pretty well, I think, by DeJuan Jones. I think he looked incredible.
In pass blocking, his run blocking wasn't great.
Yeah.
Did you notice we ran left a lot?
We definitely did. And do you know which side DJ Reader was on? Was he on that side?
I think he swapped back and forth.
Okay.
But he would have been over either Batonio or Teller anyway.
I know, but I'm just thinking that maybe that was the person they were trying to run away from.
Could have been. I didn't think.
Hendrickson tends to go upfield quite
I didn't think of it that way.
Well,
I just figured it was because we were running right before, and then Conklin gets hurt. Now we're running left.
That's true, and Conklin is a great run blocker. I just think, he's a rookie. He'll get into that. I think a lot of it is how he's setting. I listened to Joe Thomas talk about it a little bit today. He was talking about how this was more so Wills than DeJuan Jones. He had nothing but praises for DeJuan. But he was talking about how Wills gave up 4 pressures and how he's come a long way as far as his technique. However, it's almost a lack of focus with him, how he's setting right and
he's doing everything right.
Except for the focus. It seems like he doesn't know how far back the quarterback's dropping, so he doesn't know how far back to do his first step. And that's something that I think should be relatively easy to fix.
If you have a quarterback like Deshaun Watson, you don't need to worry about where he's set up. You take the guy wherever he wants to go, and Deshaun will figure it out.
Yeah.
One thing I will say, I I watched the game 2 or 3 times now, and Deshaun looks comfortable.
He does.
Those passes he was spiking at people's feet, I'm going to blame that on the weather because Burrow was doing the same thing.
Yeah, but he's a Cleveland quarterback. He's got to get through that.
Well, even Stefanski said that's the worst weather they've ever played in.
Oh, okay.
Like, Stefanski in an interview said that. Joe Burrow said he couldn't hold the ball. There was something going on. I don't know what. I mean, normally I've always heard playing in the rain isn't an issue, but I don't think it was just the rain.
Yeah, I think wind was a factor.
I think wind was a factor, but I don't know what it was, but both quarterbacks were affected, so I'm going to chalk that up as what it is.
Yeah, and I think they even said it early. You know, that's all I've heard this week being up at school is that it was only the stadium in that little part of Cleveland that was experiencing that rain. So it was almost as if the football guys were like, hey, we're going to make this a fun one for you. And I think, obviously, our defense reaped the rewards of that quite a bit. But that was an awesome game defensively. I think you still have questions with Deshaun at quarterback. You know, is he going to emerge again as the Deshaun we saw in Houston? Or is that Deshaun
dead and gone?
Yeah.
Dude, you know what I think of Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And I gotta say it, man. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid yet.
Well,
but from what I saw from him, I'm gonna hold off until this week's game because it's supposed to be nicer this week. So I'm gonna hold off and see what he does this week. But so far, I'm not upset with what I'm seeing. And another thing I want to say is I've been very critical of Stefanski too. But I'll say this about him. Deshaun was struggling, weather sucked, and what do? We start running the ball. About freaking time. That's what I was curious about. Last year, I think Stefanski would have kept chucking the ball. This year, he did what we needed to do to win the game.
Yeah, and you saw the lack of fourth and ones going for it. You know, those were just third downs we were picking up. So
right.
Definitely.
Well, we weren't really in too many fourth downs. I mean,
right.
I mean, we were, but we punted enough.
Or kicked field goals.
Right.
We were scoring points. So
right.
I think that's one thing that differs this year is Stefanski, obviously, even though Hopkins has only been there for a second, he has faith in the kicking game now. He obviously has faith in the defense and leaned on the run game once we got that lead, which I think is huge. You know, sometimes I think people could see that game, see the weather, and say, oh, well, this is a one-off because the elements are so bad you don't want to throw it. I don't think that was the case there. I think that Stefanski saw his defense was playing ridiculously and was like, all right, well, then I'll let Chubb eat. I'll get Jerome Ford some carries. And
yeah, Chubb didn't play much of the fourth quarter.
Right.
Which upset me because I needed him to score a touchdown. But whatever.
Yeah, but, you know, Browns won. That's all that matters there.
Yep.
And I honestly think that my score won't reflect this week, but I think we're going to see a repeat of last week with the team. I think that the offense is going to have a better day passing, but I think that defense is just going to repeat the same thing. Because I personally think that Pittsburgh is very similar to Cincinnati, just doesn't have as good a quarterback.
No, they're not even close to Cincinnati.
You look at their weapons; they're very similar.
They're similar. We're similar. We're similar. We're more similar to Cincinnati than what Pittsburgh is.
I would agree because I think their receiver core is better where our best running back is better. But, all of the teams other than maybe the Ravens, and the Ravens have pieces where they're better at. Like Mark Andrews might be, him and Njoku and Freiermuth, they're all really good tight ends. But I would say Mark Andrews so far has shown that he's the best in the division.
Well, Mark Andrews gets targeted. Njoku had 3 targets? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what I'm saying is if you want to go Ravens wise, they're a tight end. That's it. I don't know. I didn't watch that game. I did not watch that game.
Odell had some good catches.
Screw Odell Beckham. I know what he is. He's going to be hurt 2 weeks from now. He'll be hurt when we play him.
Dobbins went down.
We're going to hurt him.
Dobbins went down. Lamar looked
That's Lamar Jackson. He looked like Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I think
the Steelers offensively got high hopes from a preseason where they're playing number twos. And I did hear today that old Tiny Hands said, well, that was a good defense we played. We weren't playing twos. Well, no shit.
Right.
You're playing San Francisco. They came out and punched them in the face.
They did.
Which is exactly what I think is going to happen this week.
I agree, because our defensive line, I think, is just as good as San Francisco's. I just believe that personally.
I think our corners are better than San Francisco.
I completely agree with that. So I think that Kenny Pickett's going to be in for a rough day. And I think that, you heard Cam Hayward.
Yeah, he's out.
They had some other.
There's another guy out, too.
Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, he's out.
So I think that hurts. Like Cam Hayward, their rushing defense completely changes when he's not.
I know.
I think that we're going to be able to have a good day running. I don't know that it'll be. I think it'll be similar to Cincinnati. I think Chubb will eclipse 100 again. I'd like to see him get a touchdown as well. But I think we're going to be around. I mean, we had a 200-yard rushing day that day.
Mm-hmm.
So
230 yards.
Right. So I think somewhere in the 185 to 200 area is what I would see for that. And I think Deshaun's just going to keep getting better. I know what you think about Deshaun, and you're holding out your analysis of him until you see more. But for me, I know, at least I think I know what he is, and that he's going to just continually get better the more of the field he sees.
Well, I look at it like this. He had 6 games last year that looked horrible. He looked like he couldn't play high school football last year. So I'm going to give him 6 games this year before I start really going in on him, one way or the other.
Right.
And I think that's fair. I mean, don't you?
No, I agree. I think also, too, I'm excited to see what his reaction is when he watches film. I haven't heard anything from him since the game, but I think he's going to get to watch him film and be like, man, there's so many checkdowns, so many people that were wide open that ran for 10 yards easy.
Yeah, I wanted to get to that too.
So I think like Elijah Moore, Chubb, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and Njoku were wide open in the flat, shallow crossers all day, and he had his eyes way downfield. So I think that's one thing with Deshaun. Once he starts getting more accustomed to the offense and running it.
Well, I think a lot of it was, I think he wanted to come out and prove that he's Deshaun Watson again. He's all but said that before the game, that he feels like I heard him say on an interview that he feels better than he ever has.
Yeah.
And he's going to be better than he's ever been. He said that. And I think that's another reason I'm kind of holding back, because I think he came out in that game. I think he was pressing a little bit and wanted to prove why they paid him $230 million.
Yeah, and that's probably not, the weather didn't help that.
No, not at all. I mean, that one pass he threw, I've never seen him underthrow somebody.
I know. He has
like
a cannon of an arm.
And that's one thing I would never say about that guy is his arm is trash, because he's got an arm.
Yeah, and I would say one of those deep shots, Marquise Goodwin, you could see his plant foot slipped when he was releasing. The other one, I don't know. I think that was a deep pass and torrential downpour. And
also, they were saying that it was like sideways rain, which tells me it was windier than hell.
Right.
Which, who knows, the wind could have caught it. So
yeah.
That's why I'm not. But I like that they took the shots.
They did, and that helped with the run game. I just liked.
And Marquise Goodwin was wide ass open on both of those.
He was open on other plays as well. I think the more chemistry, the more time you get, that passing attack's going to come around, and that's just how the first game normally goes. The passing attack takes some time to get going,
and that's another reason I'm kind of holding back on the defense too, because Burrow didn't have any preseason.
Right, but I think that you're going to get to see some of that this week, because the Steelers cornerbacks, they got roasted by San Francisco. Now, they have great receivers, but they have very young corners, very young secondary, other than Minka Fitzpatrick. I think that it could be a good week for our receivers. I think Coop's going to have a big game. I think Njoku's going to have a big game too, because who you put on Njoku? Minka? I don't know.
No, they're not going to put Minka Fitzpatrick on
right,
Njoku.
so I don't know who matches up.
Going to have to be a linebacker.
Yeah, but their linebackers are. I think that they're going to be hurting, and my prediction is it's going to be a close game. But
well, you originally had them winning the game, 23-20.
That was because I needed a loss somewhere.
And I had the Browns winning 42-15.
Yeah,
and I have a feeling that that's going to be way more closer.
Well, I reserve the right to be able to change my pick.
It's in pen, brother. You can't do that.
I got white out right over there. No, but I think that it's definitely going to be a fun game to watch. I'm stoked for it. I do want to get your take on, or basically your first reaction to a couple of different things.
Shoot.
So the big one, and I think this is, and I'll elaborate more on it first, but I want to get your take. What did you think of Myles Garrett crossing over, going up to the line in front of
I didn't see it in real time.
Okay. Well,
but after hearing about it and actually watching it again, I thought that was freaking hilarious.
So I think, and this is not hyperbole, I truly believe this, I think that is going to be an iconic moment for Myles. I think that moment and that play could be on when he gets inducted in the Hall of Fame on his highlight reel.
Oh, definitely.
Because that there is literally the embodiment of what Joe Schwartz was trying
Jim Schwartz's defense is.
Yeah, he was trying to create swagger, and you saw that with the DBs, you saw that with the linebacker, or you saw it with everybody. But that play embodied that perfectly, and it showed him playing carefree, loose, and happy.
Yep.
And I just love that play. The other one, and it's another Myles play, is that sack on Joe Burrow on 4th down. That one, to me, I think can be a catalyst for this season, because you had probably your biggest, maybe not vocal leader, but leader on that defense. You had him making a huge play to basically ice
the game. Yeah.
And his celebration in that sideways rain, like him flexing, that was just such an iconic moment. I think that play as well could be one of those highlight reel plays.
For me, the play that I liked was, I believe it was a sweep. But either way, J.O.K., this is what did it for me. J.O.K. sliced through and took on a blocker, wiped the guy out.
Yep.
And the other linebacker, I think it was Taki, don't quote me on that, come in and actually made the play for a loss. And Njoku. J.O.K. got up and acted like he just won the freaking Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And everybody was happy for him making a block or taking out a blocker and letting a buddy get the play.
Yeah.
That is how a team is made.
Yep, that's chemistry.
And that defense is going to eat and going to feast. And as long as everybody's in that frame of mind, I think we're going to be unstoppable on defense.
I think there's got to be some sort of nickname now with Jamar Chase's quotes and everything. I think the Browns defense needs to embody like some sort of elf mentality, like rabies-fested elf mentality, and just take it to these guys, because I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just Jim Schwartz. Maybe it's them recognizing how much talent is on this defense. But they played just completely different. They seemed like they were so energized, and that leaked over onto the offense. Like the entire crowd felt that. All the DBs, like Delpit makes that DPU to basically save them being in the red zone on T. Higgins. They were all stoked for that. Every time Denzel made a play, he was getting up, just being stoked. And I heard this from Schwartz somewhere. He was basically, no, actually it was Emerson. Emerson was talking about how if you don't celebrate on a play, Jim Schwartz feels like you're loafing.
Yeah, it's like a loaf. It's a celebration loaf. I heard it too.
It's a part of their mentality, and I love that because it brings sort of a pride to your defense.
Well, not only that, it's about me thing.
Right.
It's everybody rallies together. If that is the most active defense that I've seen from Cleveland, I don't even know when.
it felt
since
like
the 80s, probably since Bernie's time.
Yeah, it honestly felt like piranhas swarming constantly. Like I don't.
And isn't it amazing how just take the ends out of it? The defensive tackles that played, they all played great.
Yeah.
They all played great. The linebackers were clean. They were able to make plays. And Rodney McLeod was on the Really Big Show today, and he said, and I love this, he goes, the big guys up front eat, and we clean up the mess.
Yep.
That's the way it's supposed to be. I've been saying that for freaking 20 years.
Yeah.
About freaking time.
And also that's what happens when you make the defense easier scheme-wise, but more aggressive. It makes your players be able to not think and just do. And that usually results in good things. I'm the only thing, like that defense to me this week played the perfect game. The only thing that could have made it just a cherry on top better is if we started getting some turnovers.
You can't get turnovers.
I know.
Because Joe Burrow wasn't throwing the ball any place you could get turnovers.
Well, that and Joe Burrow, even when you had, there was 3 or 4 plays that he just threw the ball down because he just had nothing to do. So, yeah, I totally agree. But I'm saying if you're trying to nitpick and say that.
I'm not going to nitpick that because I look at it like this. If our defense gives up 143 total yards every week with no turnovers,
right,
we're going 17-0.
Yeah.
So I don't care about turnovers. If they're throwing for 300 yards and we have no turnovers, then I'm going to have a problem.
Right.
But under 150 yards total offense, I mean, that's pretty freaking good.
Yeah, I'm excited to see with better conditions if the defense looks the way it did.
I think it's going to look – it's Pittsburgh. We all know Miles' history with Pittsburgh.
Yeah. No,
I mean –
there's a
I
lot
can't
of
wait
juice to that game.
I'm sad it's Monday night. I want it to be Thursday night.
Oh, yeah. No, I want it to be here right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got so much. And I'm hopeful that with this Browns new swagger that more of the Jamar Chase comments come out and people in the AFC North start getting frustrated because I think that just amps up the team. And I don't know that they need that, especially for a Steelers game, but that's just fun. And the Steelers got the players to chatter,
Oh, yeah.
Pickens.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that team.
Pickens is already talking smack.
Right. So I think this game's going to be so much fun to watch. Another thing I wanted to ask you about. So what do you think about the special teams play?
The only thing I can nitpick on that is the opening kickoff. They got 35-yard return. Dustin Hopkins had to make the tackle, but that didn't happen again.
No.
Wait, let me stop right there. Dustin Hopkins went down there and made that tackle like a freaking linebacker. Got up and freaking flexed.
Right.
That was awesome. I love the guy. He didn't miss a field goal. Every freaking kick he made was right down the middle. Why the hell did Cade York's kicks do what they did? I specifically this weekend, whenever someone kicked a field goal, I watched I never watch field goals, and I watched every field goal that was kicked. I was in the kitchen cooking, and they said they line up for a field goal. I stopped what I was doing and went in and watched it just to see how the ball reacted.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did that. Cade York's gone. I don't need to worry about him anymore. But every one of Dustin Hopkins' kicks was right down the middle, end over end. I haven't seen that in 2 years.
Right.
it's.
I think the thing with Cade and why we are still invested in that is you heard from everybody how talented he was all the time, but that never showed on the game screen. Like he had a couple of kicks last year, like the Carolina one that was impressive, and like if he was doing that all the time, he deserves that praise. But when we heard he was this talented kicker who was making 60-yard bombs like it was nothing in practice, and then you see the stuff that we saw on the field. And you saw the stuff that we saw on the field. I think that it's hard to put any stock into that, and so you're just trying to figure out what's wrong. And for me, it just had to be that he was trying to kill it all the time. and he knew that his ball did that. And so even on the short kicks, he was trying to just hit it through before he could make that spin or break or whatever it was.
I don't want to waste any more time on Cade York.
Yeah.
But back to Dustin.
Yeah.
I said when we had York, I need a guy who can make it from 50 and in.
Right.
That's all I need. If our offense is what everyone thinks it should be, and our defense plays like what I saw, is what I expected, that's all we need. We don't need a 60-yard field goal. We should never have to be in the position where we need that. I mean, there's going to be games we do, but
yeah,
go for it. I don't care. I'd rather go for it on the 50 than try to line up and kick a 60-yarder.
Yeah, the only issue there is, say you got 3 seconds left on the clock. That's you saying I'd rather do a Hail Mary pass than kick a 60-yarder. So, but he was making 60-yarders in practice.
But he's not here anymore.
No, I'm talking about Dustin Hopkins.
Well, in all honesty, I'd trot him out there.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell? If it's short, it's short.
Yeah.
Who cares?
No, he definitely has me excited. I also, other than that opening kickoff, their coverage team was nuts.
Oh, yeah, they were on point, yeah.
Matt Adams, Mike, the corner. Mike Ford, both looked incredible, and you can see why they made the team. I mean, there was some energy there. DPJ obviously didn't have any problems with his punt returns.
On a day like that, I don't need him to get returns. I just need him to catch the ball.
Right, because that ball had to be doing some crazy stuff.
It had to be.
So, yeah, that was huge. The special teams only added to it, didn't take away, which last year we felt like the special teams put us at a disadvantage.
The special teams cost us 3 games last year.
Right. So I think that all in all, there was a lot to love about that game. There are still things that are questions, but...
You haven't even talked about my boy yet.
Who's that, Nick Chubb?
Nick Chubb, man.
You don't got to talk about Nick Chubb. He was just doing Nick Chubb things. He is 100 yards, and he probably should have had a touchdown, but he's 100 yards.
I heard that he took himself out of the game because he was gassed. That's why they put Ford in there down there on the goal line.
Well,
he was gassed. He didn't have anything left. That's what I heard on the radio.
Well, that's big of him.
Which makes sense. Yeah, I'm glad he did that too because I don't want him to fumble. And I get it. He didn't play a preseason game, right. So he's not really in game shape yet. Yeah, although he looked it. God damn.
Yeah, there's going to be a couple. It'll take the team a couple of weeks to get into game shape.
Dude, I expect him to get 100 yards every week, no matter what. I really do.
Oh, he's going to, I think. Especially as that passing attack gets better. I think that's going to be a given. I think the more they clear out the box, the more they spread the ball downfield and Watson returns to form, I think his job's going to continuously get easier. And honestly, I know how you feel about DeJuan Jones's run blocking, but he has the body to be an absolute menace.
Monster, yeah.
So I think that once he gets the technique down.
Well, I think Treader's going to get in his ear and we'll be all right.
Yeah.
I am worried.
Teller, you mean?
Yeah, Teller. I am worried about T.J. Watt, though.
I'm not.
I am. I'm worried about it, but not to the point I'm going to lose sleep over it.
Yeah, I think I talked about this a little bit earlier today. I think that the one thing that T.J. Watt, there's 2 things he excels at: speed and power. And I don't think he's overpowering DeJuan Jones.
No, he's not. No.
So the only problem I have is speed. And I think that DeJuan Jones is big enough that he can make his step large enough that...
Well, if we have the Kansas City refs from last week, he can be in the backfield.
Right. Well, I think also, too, if I was DeJuan Jones, I'd be like, yo, I know that you play on the other side, but Joe Thomas, I need you to just make me a beast.
I think Joe Thomas would be more than happy to help him.
He's already talked. Joe Thomas has talked about how much he enjoyed talking to him in camp the couple of times he got the chance to. I think if those 2 link up and he gets his technique completely down, I think he's going to be...
Well, you got to think about it, man. He came into camp First practice, he was throwing up. He was out of shape.
Right.
They whipped him into shape. They got him looking in the preseason. He looked like an all-pro.
Right.
And he got thrown into a game against the Bengals,
right,
who have a good defensive line,
right.
and he did fine. Like, I'm not, like I said, I'm a little worried about TJ Watt. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
And if he's not, it's teach tape.
Yeah, I honestly, if I had to bet, if there was a bet that said yes, TJ Watt gets a sack and no, TJ Watt gets a sack, I honestly would probably take the bet that he doesn't, because I have that much faith in DeJuan Jones.
Well, I think they'll game plan around that too.
I do too.
I mean, you got a rookie.
He's gonna get chips.
You got a rookie tackle starting his first game. You gotta help him out. Yeah. Either that, or you say, "Hey, swim or sink, bud. Here you go."
That's honestly what I would do.
That's what I would do too.
There's not gonna be another other than Bosa, but I don't think Bosa lines up on that side.
Yeah, he does. He lines up all over the place.
Okay, well, those are the two this year that you're gonna get that I think are people he could struggle with, but I don't think.
We know the nice thing is he goes against Miles and Za'Darius every freaking week.
Right.
So, I mean, TJ Watt ain't better than those. Well, maybe better. No, I wouldn't say he's better than Za'Darius either. Before we take break, Za'Darius Smith on the first play of the game smacked Joe Burrow. That set the tone right there.
Yeah.
That set the tone for the whole game. They knew it was going to be a long, long day.
I think Joe Burrow, and we'll wrap up here, but I think Joe Burrow was looking left, saw Miles coming, and then he realized, oh wait, there's another Miles on the other side. I feel bad for all the
I don't feel bad about it at all. I hope they all lose sleep and play like shit.
I think they will. All right. We're going to take a little break here. Coming up next, we're going to talk about some more of the games that we saw this weekend. You've been listening to the Chillen with the Dawgs podcast. We'll be back shortly. You're listening to the Chillen with the Dawgs podcast. Our episodes go live Friday mornings. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and a whole bunch more podcasting apps in the future. Thanks for listening to us. We highly, highly appreciate it. You can follow me on socials. It's Justice Garber, pretty much anywhere you look. And then you can follow and rate the podcast on the podcasting apps. All right, let's get back into the action. All right, welcome back into the Chillen with the Dawgs podcast. Again, I'm your host, Justice, and I'm here with my dad.
This is Jason, right back at you.
All right. So, in this little part here, we're going to be kind of reviewing all the other games this week. And then towards the end, we're going to give you a little bit of a preview of the games to come. So, what's our first game?
The first game that played Thursday was the Lions and Chiefs.
Right. And did we both have...
We both had the Chiefs winning that.
Right.
But close.
Yeah. I know I had Detroit to cover, but they ended up winning outright. That game went a lot differently than most expected, but that's a game where it's like, that's so sick that Detroit won. Obviously, I was rooting for them, and they played really well.
They did play really well.
That defense looks pretty mean, and I think if they can tread water until Jameson Williams comes back.
I think the Chiefs line looked very suspect. Yes. Not so much the defense looked great. I think the line for the Chiefs looked suspect.
Well, the Chiefs' defense did look pretty good too.
Oh, yeah. The Chiefs' defense wasn't bad.
But, yeah, I agree with you. I think losing Orlando Brown Jr. is going to be hard for them. I think that...
They lost Orlando Brown?
Yeah, he's playing for Cincinnati. He struggled with...
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, he had a bad day too. But I think that was a cool win for Detroit. I think that's something that can springboard them this season. And I don't really think it means that much for KC. I think they're still powerhouses.
They'll be fine.
They got Chris Jones back. They signed him today or yesterday. And then Kelsey's going to be coming back, so they'll be just fine. But cool win. I don't think that it means too much. You know, it's week one. But,
right. Okay, next game was the Niners and the Steelers.
That game was awesome.
I loved it.
Yeah.
But TJ Watt did have 3 sacks in that game.
Yeah, I think that is due to the fact that San Francisco, one of the only things that I think is suspect on their team and their roster, you have left tackle, Hall of Fame left tackle there in Trent Williams. But I think a lot of those other pieces on the line are a little bit unknowns.
Well, they must not be too bad. They ran for 200 and some yards.
Yeah, but they also had their way. I mean, as far as other than T.J. Watt and some pressures elsewhere, I mean, that offense really had their way with them. And I think Shanahan called that game perfectly, obviously. Their defense put him in prime positions for all those things. And Brock Purdy continues to look like Tom Brady out there.
Mm-hmm.
So that game was awesome. San Francisco looks like they're exactly where they were last year. They're going to be Super Bowl contenders again this year, I think. Brock Purdy, amazing passes. Brandon Ayuk looks like he's...
Oh, he made some passes. He dropped some dimes.
He did. And I think Brandon Ayuk looks like a monster.
Yeah.
He looks like he's coming into form. So having him, Kittle, McCaffrey, and Debo, I mean, that's a recipe for a disaster.
Oh, yeah.
So that game was awesome. I think you really didn't learn too much because I think I definitely had San Francisco rolling.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you're Pittsburgh and you were excited about this season going in, thinking you were, cream of the crop, I think you're rethinking it. And obviously that's a good team they played. So we'll see. They get to play our Browns this weekend.
There was a lot of people in the media that were projecting the Steelers to win the division.
I know.
I don't think that's happening.
Yeah, I think there's so many factors with it being week one. San Francisco having one of the best defenses in the league. I think that we'll see more this weekend. I think Pittsburgh has another tough defense they're playing. So,
yep. Can't wait.
Yeah. All right, who we got next?
Atlanta, Carolina.
All right, that game ended up being 24-10, I think.
Yep.
I think that was just Atlanta has everything but the quarterback. Desmond Ridder didn't get a lot of opportunities to push the ball downfield. Drake London didn't even have a catch.
Right.
So I think that was more so just Arthur Smith being able to run wherever he wanted to. And
he did what he had to do to win the game.
And Bryce Young has definitely a lack of talent around him. And I think there's going to be questions going forward. He's a young quarterback, but I think he's struggling a lot seeing over that line.
You think?
Yeah.
He's like 5'9".
So we'll see how that goes going forward for them. That game I didn't pay too much attention to.
No, it was the prison inmate game.
Right.
Okay, Baltimore, Houston, 25-9, Baltimore.
All right, so Baltimore came out on top on that game, but they lost J.K.
They lost J.K. Dobbins, yep.
Yep, and then I honestly don't think that they were that impressive. A lot of people were talking about how Lamar looked pretty rough. I saw a stat earlier today based off QBR that Deshaun Watson, and we were talking about how bad Deshaun Watson played. He actually had the highest QBR percentage of any AFC North quarterback. He was ranked number 9.
Well, I mean, that's because Burrow played his defense.
Yes, that's true.
And Lamar sucks.
Lamar's
and Tiny Mitts can't throw. Well.
Yeah, but that's just to say that Lamar didn't really flash. He didn't have Mark Andrews, but he did have Zay Flowers.
Well,
Zay Flowers
all he's been asking for forever was a raise and receivers, and he's supposedly got great receivers. Yeah. He don't need Mark Andrews anymore.
Well, Todd Monken definitely is changing the way they're doing things there. He did not run like he normally does, and I think that took away a lot of his game. So for me, that wasn't a huge standout win. Obviously, they're
playing Houston,
right? So
how up can you get for Houston?
You can't. I mean, I don't know. It's week 1,
right?
I honestly thought they were going to blow them out. So
yeah,
losing Dobbins big, but all right.
Okay, Vikings Bucks. Good old Baker.
Yep, Baker
got his win.
Didn't look that great in the early going. I think he started like 5 of 16, but he started to get it going. I think he had a big pass to Mike Evans.
Yep.
So it'd be cool to see that connection growing. But that game was another one I definitely missed on. I did not think it was going to go that way.
Me neither.
I had faith in that Baker could make it close, but I didn't think they were going to win that game outright.
No, I didn't either.
And that Vikings defense has lots of questions.
Yeah. Well, we have 2 of their starters from last year, so
right. So
I'm not going to feel bad for them.
Yeah, that defensive line is definitely not what it was last year.
I'm actually hoping the Lions win that division this year anyway.
Well, it seems like they're going to have some competition with Green Bay, but we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah. Okay, next game, Washington at Arizona, 20-16, Washington.
Yeah, this game.
Yeah, you had this as a blowout.
I know. And neither side. I mean, obviously, I don't think the Cardinals are going to be that good this year. But
I didn't think Washington. I thought that game was going to be something like 30-15 or something.
Yeah, Washington didn't impress either, and they have a young quarterback, Sam Howell, starting. So I think I don't know how much faith people have in him. I don't really have that much, but if that's the guy, then he's probably in a similar boat as all these quarterbacks. It's week one. You guys start getting some tread on the tires, get some consistency going with your receivers. So they eked out a win against a team that they should have probably destroyed.
Yep.
But
hey,
a win's a win.
Win's a win.
Yep.
All right, New Orleans at Tennessee at New Orleans, 16-15.
Right, 16-15. I think I had this a lot bigger. I had New Orleans winning by more. Did they end up covering that?
No.
Tennessee?
The spread was 3.
Okay. So, yeah, I thought New Orleans was going to blow them out. I think that Derek Carr is going to take some time getting used to his receivers. He had a couple of hits to Chris Olave that looked good. But that's a new quarterback with a new team taking on a Mike Vrabel-led Titans team that always plays tough. Even if they don't have the talent this year, or Ryan Tannehill is kind of losing ability to throw, I think that
that's kind of a problem.
No, I know. But no matter what, Vrabel's always going to have that team close. They're always going to be a hard out. So I think getting a win there was big for New Orleans, even though they didn't play their best game. I think they have plenty of room to grow. I think that was good, just getting a win in there.
Well, the defense played good.
The defense did play good, but that defense is probably one of the top 10 easy. I would say maybe top 5 defenses in the league.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you got Eagles, Browns, 49ers, and then who else after that? Eagles, Browns, 49ers, Cowboys, and then I would say they're up there.
Jets?
The Jets are pretty good, yeah. I would say they're up in the top 10 at least, though. Top half of the league for sure.
All right.
All right, next game.
Seattle and the Rams.
This game
Rams blew them out.
This game made me real sad. I did not see it going that way at all. I'm glad I didn't bet anything on that game because I would have lost everything. Just didn't go at all like I saw it going. I thought that I honestly thought that Seattle was going to smoke them, and it just turned out to be an Uno reverse card.
Yep.
Matt Stafford had a huge day. That defense seemed to play pretty well. Hold them to only 13 points. It seems like Cooper Kupp's not coming back anytime soon, so Stafford found a couple new targets to play with. Tutu Atwell, and the new 5th-round kid they got, the rookie, had over 100 yards. So I think if you're I don't know if Rams fans exist, but if you are a Rams fan, I think that was...
Justin's a Rams fan. I don't know why, but he is.
Yeah, okay, well, then if you are one of the only Rams fans out there, that was a cool win. Definitely a big one. It's in the division. Hopefully they can string some stuff together. Cam Akers had a pretty good day. So, yeah, I just didn't see it going that way.
I didn't either. I wouldn't bet that. I wouldn't have bet that game. I'm glad I didn't because I wouldn't have took that. Okay, next, Philly at New England.
That game ended up being closer than what I felt like it was.
Well, Philly covered.
Philly, did they? Okay, cool. Well, they covered, but they had a commanding lead for most of that game, and they allowed New England back in at the end.
Yep.
I think that was due to conditioning. Nick Sirianni came out and said, I think I need to start my starters a little bit more in the preseason.
Yep.
Have them ready, because I just think their conditioning was down, and they just allowed New England to slowly crawl back in there towards like the latter half of the third.
New England must have a pretty good defense.
They do. Their defense is solid.
Because they played pretty good. I didn't get to watch that game, but I did watch a little bit of it at the end. And Mac Jones, at least what I saw, didn't look too bad.
Yeah, I just think that they're lacking in receiver talent. I mean, Juju's their number one, I think, right?
So, yeah, he's horrible.
Having him as your number one, I don't dislike Juju, but I don't think at this stage in his career he's number one.
He's never been a number one.
He's a low 2, I would say, right now. And that's just not going to cut it when you're trying to keep pace with some of these AFC teams.
Right.
And then their defense is gnarly. Like, I think they had the best defense last year, top-rated defense last year. So it's no wonder that they, didn't completely get blown out by the Eagles, because that Eagles
See, I would have
team-
had it as a blowout.
Yeah, I could have easily seen that be 38-10, but they stuck around, and with the Jets,
Week 1.
yeah, with the Jets losing A-Rod, and the Bills looking the way they did, I think that New England fans might think that they can hang around that division a little bit. I don't, but we'll see. All right, next one.
I miss Jacksonville and Indy.
So Jacksonville ended up winning that game 31-20.
21. 31-21.
31-21, 10 points. I would have seen that game as a blowout. I think I predicted like 38-10.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Richardson looked pretty okay.
That's a consensus.
Starting his debut, going out and did he have a pick?
I think he had 1 interception.
Okay, well, even so, that's not a bad showing for a rookie, especially one that everybody says is unpolished and raw. So, I mean, the defense is nothing to scoff at.
Well, Jonathan Taylor's talking about being back week 5, so.
Right. And just in time to play the Browns.
He must have liked what he saw.
Yeah. So I think that the Colts played tough. They played against a team that just has way more talent. And so, it wasn't as big a blowout as I thought it was, but 10 points is still a good little spread.
It was really close.
Yeah,
until
they were losing it.
Yeah. That would have been a fun game to watch.
Yeah, and I like Indy's defense. They got a lot of players on that team.
Yeah.
I like. Well, DeForest Buckner had a touchdown.
Oh, yeah.
So
I forgot about that. Yeah, he would look good in a Browns uniform, too.
he definitely would.
We're running out of room for those guys.
Yeah.
All right, next game's Vegas at Denver.
I don't even want to talk about this game because I don't really care about it, but I will. I think that the Raiders eked out a win against a team who played very poorly. I think that was 2 teams playing pretty poorly, and one ended up scoring 1 more point than the other. Jimmy Garoppolo finds ways to win games, but Russ and Sean Payton have some work to do, I think, to get stuff going on offense.
I'm disappointed with the performance of Denver because I had faith in Peyton. I got no faith in Russell Wilson. I think he's washed.
Yeah, I think they were able to move off that contract after the season. I'm curious to see what they do there.
Well, I think it'd be a good idea to wash that away.
Yeah, which sucks. If that's the case, if that's what you're planning on doing, I think that you might need to start selling some pieces off offensively soon because you got Jerry Jeudy, Sutton, Jamal Williams.
Why would you want to wash? Why would you want to sell off pieces if you're going to try to go next year?
I just don't know that they're really ready-made. I mean, they struggled with Vegas, who a lot of people had in the bottom 6.
Was that because they suck or because their quarterback sucks?
I think it's a little bit of both. Their defense is
well, okay. Let's bring this back to the Browns that I like to talk about. Everyone said Baker was the problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's why our team sucked because of Baker Mayfield.
Right.
Well, let's just say Russ is Baker Mayfield. We didn't sell off our pieces to get Deshaun.
Yeah,
Deshaun came to a ready-made team.
The only problem is how much draft capital they gave up to acquire Russell Wilson. So trying to recoup that to rebuild is kind of what I'm getting at.
Well, Sean Payton ain't going to want to do that.
They're going to have to figure something out then. Russell Wilson needs to get his stuff together. Because, I mean, I don't think they have a draft pick this year or next year for first round at least. They gave up a lot of draft capital to get him. So if they cut him loose after this season, that's going to be rough sledding for a little bit.
Well,
but again,
not my problem.
Yeah, again, that's a game. I think 2 teams who, I think this game was similar to the Carolina game and the Atlanta game. Only Atlanta played better. So,
okay, on to the next one. Green Bay at Chicago.
This one made me sad again. Being a Bears fan, I did not expect Jordan Love to go out there and look like a superstar. And obviously that defense looks great. I think for the Bears, they struggled a lot on offense. DJ Moore only had a couple of receptions, didn't really make anything. And they're already talking about cutting Chase Claypool because apparently he's non-existent, not trying. So that offense has already started to have some problems. People are wondering if Justin Fields is actually a good quarterback, which I think is ridiculous. But
he didn't look great.
Yeah, he didn't look great, but I don't know if this win for Green Bay says more about them, or I think it says more about Green Bay than it does the Bears. I think it's going to take a second, like all these new pairings. I think it's going to take a second for Justin Fields and
DJ Moore
to get their chemistry going. I think Lil Herbert will only get better as the season goes on, and I think the Packers just wanted it more.
This game was close early.
Right.
Aaron Jones was just freaking crazy.
Right.
And he pulled up his second touchdown he scored. He pulled up, looked like he might have pulled a hammy. So he might not be available this week. I don't know. I haven't heard.
I mean, they got AJ Dillon there as well.
That game didn't surprise me. I kind of figured it would go that way, just because I don't think Chicago's any good. Their line's horrible. It all starts with your offensive line. If your offensive line sucks, your team is going to suck.
And their defensive line is pretty rough too.
Well, their defense didn't look bad. I mean, they had their moments, but they got a couple linebackers that can play.
Tremaine Evans.
Yeah, I mean, they can play ball. And I didn't think their secondary looked god-awful.
Oh, they got some players there too. They got that safety.
I mean, they just need to work at it. But their offensive line, they got problems. They're not going to be good if they don't address some of that.
And that completely destroys their tempo, too. I mean, Justin Fields wasn't this running quarterback in college. He was a pocket passer who did scramble every now and again. And he can make plays with his legs, but he is dangerous time in the pocket. And, I mean, they're talking about him seeing ghosts running around the pocket and all this stuff. I mean, he's running for his life.
Well, I watched that. I wouldn't have said that. I watched a good chunk of that game, and I don't think that at all. He ran when he had to.
Right.
And granted, I mean, I don't know. I'm not in his head, but he didn't look great, but he didn't look bad.
Yeah, I didn't really get the chance to see that game. I only saw a couple highlights. And I don't know. The other scary thing is that they played them with Green Bay not at full force. They didn't have Christian Watson or some of their pieces.
Well, Romeo Doubs looked pretty freaking good.
Yeah.
And those are the receivers that Aaron Rodgers just absolutely hated.
Right. All right, who we got next?
Okay, Miami at the Chargers.
So this is everybody's big game. Well, one of the big games everybody's talking about this weekend. You had Miami just beating the Chargers in a back and forth battle. Tyreek Hill single-handedly
killed the Chargers, yeah.
Yeah, Tua decided to destroy my fantasy hopes, throwing for like 450 yards and so many touchdowns.
I mean, I know Tyreek Hill is a good receiver and he's fast as hell. How in the hell does somebody get that wide open? You watch the highlight plays, there's not guys within 10, 15 yards of him.
That's called elite speed.
No.
And great route running.
Great route running.
Yeah.
The dude just ran straight down the field.
It's a great route when you can outrun people.
Well, they need to fix something because that's
the problem with Miami is scary as hell, and the reason being is because Jalen Waddle is no slouch speed-wise either. They have speed everywhere. Their running back's fast. Mostert is a track star as well. They have speed everywhere. So I think the problem a lot of teams are going to face is I think Tua, if he remains healthy, is a really good point guard, and he just
he dropped some beautiful passes.
Yeah, I mean they have everything you need to win a Super Bowl there. I'm excited for that team. I don't hate Miami. I like a lot of their players. I like Tyreek Hill, and I think they're going to be a fun team.
I kind of wish we played them, so I'd like to see our defense against that offense.
Maybe we will in the playoffs, but I would definitely like to see that too. And then as far as the Chargers, they had a great day running the ball. Both of their running backs got over 100.
Yep.
I mean, I think it was just a shootout, and they ended out being on the losing side of that. But that was a fun game. Definitely one of the highlights of the weekend, I think.
So much for defense.
Yeah.
Speaking of defense, the next game is Dallas against the Giants.
Yeah, you can hardly call this a game. This was more so like the Cowboys just lined up and
what was the score? 40-0.
It was 40-0. The Giants barely were there. I think they were just like laying things, just seeing stars and throwing balls towards their outstretched hands. It was just a nightmare. If you're a Giants fan, I am not a Giants fan. I don't like either of those teams. Although I do like Mike Parsons, and he just continues to be a freak. Everybody talks about how, and I agree with this. Bosa, Miles, and TJ are the best edge rushers in the league. I think Mike Parsons has to start going into that conversation.
I think he's already in that conversation.
Yeah, because he's a nuts, and he honestly single-handedly for most of that game destroyed everything that the Giants were trying to do. Danny Dimes seemed to be running away everywhere. He was getting chased by everybody. It was cat.
That's another team whose offensive line sucks.
Yeah, and it was just.
And that's been proven out the last couple years. Their offensive line sucks.
It was just watching two teams that weren't on equal playing
No,
level.
it was JV versus varsity.
Yeah, so that was definitely a surprise for me. I had that game as like a 3-point game. It never was even close.
I don't know what I picked. I don't remember what I picked for that game, but it didn't surprise me because I think New York sucks. But I thought they'd put more effort into it than 4-0.
I thought that they would get some points on the board. I thought that Barkley might get some open space, but he didn't. Like he was a non-factor. Darren Waller had a couple of nice catches, but mostly that offense. I mean, they didn't do much at all.
No, they didn't do anything.
They didn't do their defense any favors.
No.
I mean, that was the opposite of complimentary football. And hopefully they can recover for Giants fans week 2. But.
Okay, so let's talk about the one everybody talked about all day today: the Jets Buffalo at New York Jets.
Yeah, so I watched all of that.
What was the final of that?
That was
23-16.
It was 22-16 because they didn't have to kick the extra point. But I thought that game was one of the better games I've seen in a while, to be honest. The highs, the lows were amazing. Obviously, everybody's talking about Rodgers being done for the season. We got that news earlier today that he tore his Achilles tendon. So that is not super great. That's going to cause them to maybe have to look at some other quarterbacks. I guess I've already made calls to Tom Brady.
That ain't happening.
There's no way. I debated with my professor about this all day today. He owns part of the Raiders.
I don't think he can.
Well,
actually, I heard today that that's not final. So that isn't a sticking point as of right now.
Well, even so, I mean, he literally has an ad out right now talking about on retirement. Who would do that?
Right.
So maybe that's just a precursor to what's about to happen. But
well, no, that's been out for a couple weeks.
Okay.
So.
Well, even so, I think that's a pipe dream for New York fans.
I mean, he did ring the bell in New England. I don't think he's going to go play for the Jets.
Right. So that's one thing there. You had the Rodgers 4 plays and out for the rest of the season.
Yep.
And that's sad because I was excited to see how that would play out this year.
That cost me 4 bets last night because he was a keystone in my betting last night.
Yeah, that definitely hurt my bets as well. But they did end up winning on a walk-off punt return by an undrafted free agent.
Yep.
And that was sick. That was an awesome story. I think the story of the day, other than that and Rodgers going down, was that defense for the Jets is nuts. Robert Sala's got those guys playing with fire. Quentin Williams looks like a superstar. He has for the past couple of years, but it's looking like he is kind of taking that defense and making it his own. And then
Did the defense is the defense that good, or did Buffalo play that bad?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that defense is that good, but I think that Allen had a terrible day. He made some pretty bad decisions, which honestly I don't think were as bad as what the media is making it out to be. Two of those interceptions were basically punts, but still, you'd like to see him be a little bit more careful with the ball. I don't think you're going to see a lot more from him this year, but at least four.
He has 35 interceptions since September of last year.
Yeah, but I don't think you're going to see four like that again this year.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it was just all the things we've been talking about. First week, being a little rusty. I mean, he and the Stephon Diggs connection are still ready to go.
Oh, and Sauce Gardner cannot cover Stephon Diggs.
No,
he could not cover.
But I don't think anybody can. I mean, Stephon is one of the best route runners in the league. So yeah, that game was incredible. I felt like a New York fan watching that kid running back because they were talking about it before. It was just an awesome moment. But anyway, let's get into some of our predictions for this week.
Okay, first game, Minnesota at Philly.
And we can just rattle these off.
So Minnesota's at Philly. Philly's favored by 7.
I think Philly covers. And I would have that score be 31 to 20. 31 to 17.
17?
Yeah.
Well, I would say I agree with you. 31. I think it's going to be that. I don't know if Minnesota will score 14 points.
Yep.
And Minnesota can't stop anybody. So I would say 35. Philly 35, Minnesota 13. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I can see that.
Next game's Green Bay at Atlanta. Green Bay's favored by 1.5.
Yeah, I think that spread is pretty good. I don't know yet what to think about Green Bay, but I do feel like I kind of know what Atlanta is. They're limited at quarterback and have talent everywhere else. So I think Green Bay wins this. I think it's relatively close because I think Atlanta's going to run down the clock with that rushing attack. So I'm going to say 27 to 23. Green Bay wins. Yep.
And I'm going to say 32 to 17, Green Bay.
You have a lot of Jordan Love.
I like Jordan Love. Dude, he looks... I remember when Aaron Rodgers started out in Green Bay, he did not look as good as this kid does. I'm not saying that he's going to turn into Aaron Rodgers, but he looked pretty freaking good.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch the.
And I like the young receivers they have there, and they can all grow together.
They can.
They can all be his little Aaron Rodgers, Randall Cobb.
They really have a young core there.
They do.
And they can have Aaron Jones be a leader.
Yep.
All right, who we got next?
Chicago at Tampa Bay.
So.
Oh God.
What?
Nothing. Tampa Bay is favored by 3.
I don't like that spread very much. I don't like this game very much. I wouldn't bet it at all because I don't know what either of these teams are yet. One team eked out a win that they probably shouldn't have, or I didn't see coming, and then the other one didn't play nearly how I thought they would. So if I was to bet this game, I'd probably take Tampa Bay. I just think that their roster is a little bit better. Their defense is better. So I would say Tampa Bay 20 to 17. Same score as last week. And they get another win.
Okay, I'm going to say Tampa 24, Chicago 14.
On my radio.
Actually, I'm going to go 13. I don't think they'll score 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, on my radio show today, I definitely didn't make that prediction. But the more I thought about it, the more I just don't know what the Bears are this year.
I know what they are. They're a team with a horrible offensive line.
Yeah.
Which doesn't... Well, now their defense, I mean, they are playing Baker, so their defense could score a touchdown. Because their defense... The score of that Green Bay-Chicago game, to me, doesn't reflect how good the defense played.
Yeah.
But, okay, so... Yeah, I got Tampa Bay 24, Chicago 13. Next game's Seattle at Detroit. Detroit's favored by 5.5.
I like Detroit in this one, especially how lackluster Seattle played. Um, I just think that the Lions, a lot like the Browns, have a lot of swag on their team.
They do.
I think they're
Campbell, man. I'm telling you.
MCDC has the team completely bought in.
MCDC.
Yeah, Motor City Dan Campbell.
Oh.
Yep, that's his nickname. So I think he's got them locked in. I think that they're hungry, even more so after that big win. So I see them winning. I'm going to say 28 to, what's the spread?
5.5.
I see this just going over that. I think they cover. So what did I say? 28.
Is that what you say?
Yeah, 28 to 20.
Okay, I think Detroit is twice the offense that the Rams have.
Right.
So I'm going to say Detroit scores 33. I don't know how they get there, but they're going to score 33, and Seattle scores 16.
Okay.
Because I think Detroit's going to be up. They're playing at home in front of the Motor City Kitties, and they'll open a can of whoop ass.
There you go.
Next game, Vegas at Buffalo, and their Buffalo is favored by 9.5.
I see it being that way. I have zero faith in the Raiders, and honestly, I didn't lose too much faith in Buffalo how they played this weekend. I think that was more a testament to the Jets' defense. I think it was a little bit of both, but the Jets' defense is real. So I see that game being 31 to 13.
13?
Yep, I see him getting a touchdown somewhere, getting a couple field goals, but I think that's a blowout.
I'll go with that. Because the Raiders, I just think they suck. So I'll match that. And Buffalo have a good defense, so I think points are going to be hard to come by for Vegas. And I think Buffalo can do pretty much whatever they want as long as the line can block Max Crosby.
I think Josh Jacobs could get in the end zone. That's how they score. But other than that, it's going to be a bad day for them.
Next game, Chargers at Tennessee, and the Chargers are only favored by 3.
Yeah, that spread definitely has me a little perplexed. I like the Chargers a lot this year, and I've said it plenty. I'm a little bit low on Tennessee. However, there's always the variable element.
Right.
And I think that's probably where that 3's coming in. But I still think the Chargers coast and cover that spread. I think they put up 31, and Tennessee puts up 20.
Okay, I'm going to say Chargers 42, Tennessee 22.
Okay.
I don't know why. That's just the number that I got. That'd be a comfortable cover for the Chargers, and I just don't know about Tannehill, man. I don't think he can. I think his best years are way behind him.
I agree. I think King Henry could have a decent game, though.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Miami didn't run the ball a whole lot, did they?
No.
Yeah. So there's no Tyreek Hill on Tennessee. I just don't. I don't see him. No, that's what I got. 42-22. Next game up. This one I want to watch because I want to see Lamar suck. Baltimore at Cincinnati.
Yeah, this was one of the games.
Cincinnati's favored by 3.5.
This was one of the games I was really excited for. I think that the Bengals cover and bounce back a little bit. I think it's going to be a relatively close game, but I still think they cover. I'm going to go Bengals 24, Ravens 20. I think that the Bengals do have a really good defense, and I think that Lamar is going to struggle if he's just passing again. I don't know who they have on defense who really eliminates his running threat, but if they're going to just basically delegate him to be a pocket passer,
they're not going to do that. They can't do that. You can't take that away from him. It's the only thing he's good at. He cannot throw the ball. I've been saying it since he came in the league.
Well, the thing is that him being able to run like that opens up things in the passing game.
Right.
So that would only benefit him if he continues to be a threat in the running game. So Yeah, I see that being 24-20. I see the Ravens going 1-1, and the Bengals get their first win of the season. I think Joe Burrow ends up bouncing back, has a 270-yard game and a couple touchdowns.
Well, I think it's going to be 45 Cincinnati. Now, I got to keep it somewhat real. I'll say 35. I think Cincinnati's pissed off.
Right.
And they're going to take it out on the Ravens, whose defense is horrible.
Well, I'm down with that.
So I think Baltimore is going to score 24 points probably. So I'm going to go 35-24, Cincinnati win. Because I just hate the Ravens.
Yeah.
And I don't hate the Bengals. I don't like them, but I don't hate them.
Yeah.
And Burrow, he's got to look better than he did last week.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see the two Ohio teams battling out for the division. So
yeah, screw the Steelers, and the Ravens can disappear.
I'd be cool with the Browns being 6-0 in the division and Cincinnati being 4-2.
Yeah.
So
that sounds good to me.
And that might be high hopes, but yep. And our next one?
Indy at Houston. Indy's favored by 1.
Well, this game.
Prison inmate game.
Yeah,
Well, there's two of those on the schedule.
Yeah.
Actually, 3 of those on the. No, yeah. 3 of those on the schedule this week.
Yeah, I'll watch this game because we need to talk about it. But normally this would be one that I don't have a lot of vested interest in. I am excited to see the 2 rookie quarterbacks duke it out. But I think that it's going to be a relatively low-scoring game. I like Indy in this one to win 21-17.
I like Houston in this game because I love C.J. Stroud.
Oh yeah.
But I wouldn't bet this game that way. I actually wouldn't even touch this game because God only knows what's going to happen. But I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to reverse your score and say Houston 21, Indy 17.
The only reason why I went the way I did is because I do like the Colts' defense slightly better. Other than that, I think this could go either way.
Yeah, but Houston held the great Lamar Jackson to, what was the score of that game? 25 points. Right. And Anthony Richardson so far is not Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, they played a better version of Anthony, or is it Anthony Richardson?
Yep.
They played a better version of him last week.
Right.
He throws the ball about as well as Lamar does, and he's not the runner that Lamar is. Right. He's bigger, stronger. He's more Josh Allen that way, but I just think that, I don't know. That's just the feeling I got. Houston's going to eke out a win. Next game, Kansas City at Jacksonville. Kansas City by 3.
This is the other game of the week I'm stoked for. I'm excited to see this. I think Kansas City bounces back, and I think it's going to be really tight. I predicted this, and I'm going to go with this. I think that Jacksonville ends up winning. They end up winning
So Kansas City goes 0-2? 0-2
to
start. I thought you said they were going to bounce back.
Yeah, I think they bounce back, but they don't win.
Well, that's not a bounce back. You don't bounce back to a loss.
That's fair. I just think that their offense looks a little bit better. But I think Jacksonville is going to be a force this year.
That's what everybody says, man.
Well, we'll see. I'm definitely not a Trevor Lawrence guy, but I think that they could definitely bounce back. And I think that it ends up being 31-28 Jacksonville.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I really do. But I don't see this becoming a trend for KC. I think it's just they had some tough opponents in the first couple of weeks.
Well, I'm going to give KC the win here and go 28-24. Which would cover. I wouldn't bet it. No way in hell I'd bet that game.
This is a game where you bet some
touchdowns.
Yeah. Maybe some overs on yardage.
All right, next game, Niners at Rams. Niners favored by 8.
I'll go pretty quick on this, I think. I don't even know what the score of this would be, but 49ers are going to smash them. I think Matt Stafford's nice day is going to be followed up by a sad day. And I think San Francisco coasts to a 35-13 win.
Doesn't Shanahan have a tough time playing the Rams?
He does.
Sean McVay kind of has his number, doesn't he?
Guess you could say that.
Yeah. I'm going to go Niners, 7,000. Rams, -2.
There you go.
No.
They're in the lead there, huh?
Seriously, I'm going to go. I'm going to go 45 to 20.
How many rushing yards? Okay, so I am curious. One matchup in this game I am excited to see is if they can stop McCaffrey a little bit with Aaron Donald. But I still think McCaffrey eclipses 100 and gets some touchdowns.
Oh, I don't doubt that at all. Next prison inmate game. Giants at Arizona. Giants are favored by 6.
Well, I think that the Giants struggled with an amazing defense. I think that they bounce back here and get the win. I think Arizona's, like I said, going to be a floor team this year. They're trying to get the first and second overall pick. So I think that the Giants don't win it very nicely or comfortably, but they end up winning. I think it's going to be 21-17.
I'm going to say it's going to be 23 to 17 because Arizona sucks. But so do the Giants. So we'll just move on from there. Next game, Jets at Cowboys.
Well, this game was incredibly exciting.
Cowboys are favored by 9.5.
Yeah. This game was incredibly exciting 24 hours ago.
Right.
Unfortunately, now with the Rodgers news, it makes it a little bit less so.
And that line might move.
Yeah, definitely could. I just don't see. I mean, if New York struggled with, like, the Giants.
Buffalo's defense isn't bad.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking that.
But their offensive line sucks.
Yeah, and they're not. The Jets' defense, the Bills' defense is good, but it did not look like that Cowboys' defense did. I think that the Jets have a hard day. And I think the Cowboys get some help on the defense, maybe another defensive score. I see this being 35 to 14 in favor of the Cowboys, unfortunately.
Well, I would say this. If you're going to bet this game, I'd probably bet it now because I think that line will move up. Maybe. It might not. But I would go – I don't know if the Jets will score.
They might not.
I mean, I don't see a shutout. It could be.
I think Breece Hall breaks off one or some. They have too many weapons still for someone not to make a play and get some points.
Yeah, but they got Zach Wilson throwing the ball.
Yeah, but if you think the Bills' defense is that good, he didn't do too bad. I think he ended up being like 66% completion.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say 10 for the Jets. I like your 35 number for the Cowboys. I could see them having 35 to 10 at half.
Yeah.
And just playing second stringers. All right, next game's Washington at Denver. Denver's favored by 3.5.
The Dogs didn't like that take.
I don't care what the Dogs like.
Who we got? Denver and
Washington at Denver.
There's the Dogs. Is this another prison inmate game?
Yeah, I would say this is another prison inmate game.
Yeah, I think that this is another one that I don't have a really good feel for. I ended up earlier today saying that I think the Commanders would win. Washington, I think, showed a little bit more in their first game, even though it was against Arizona. So I'm going to take Washington to win here 21-17.
I'm going to reverse that score because I think Sean Payton's going to get up in someone's ass.
Well, he needs to.
And that's all I got to say about that.
There you go.
So the next one's Miami at New England. Miami's favored by 2.
Yeah, that spread confuses me a lot. I think that's a testament to how good people believe that the Patriots defense is, and I agree with them. I think that defense is really good, but I feel like that Miami's offense and passing attack and Raheem Mostert are going to get the better of them. I think that Miami is going to be a force this year, especially on offense. And that defense is solid. And they're going to get Jalen Ramsey back. Whatever you think of him, they are going to get another cornerback back to add to the mix. So I think this game, I'm going to go Miami 36 again. I'm going to go Patriots 20.
36-20.
Yeah, I like Ramondre Stevenson to get a touchdown.
I have no idea about this game because I did not get to watch Miami other than highlights. But they do have a pretty potent offense. And New England's defense, I mean, I don't know. I don't think Philly was ready to play.
Yeah.
So I'll say 35-20. No, I'm not going to give them 3 touchdowns. 35-17.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty one-sided game.
Yeah. Well, I hope, because I'm kind of tired of New England. So, but I don't really care for Miami either. But okay, next game, Monday night game, New Orleans at Carolina. New Orleans favored by 3.
Yeah.
I don't think this should take very long.
No. All right. Well, if we're not going to take very long, I think New Orleans beats them pretty handily. I think they win 28-13. And the reason I think that is, I think New Orleans slowly is going to start getting more momentum on offense. I think their defense, like we were saying earlier, is a really good defense. And Bryce Young isn't really ready for that. Doesn't have any weapons to really throw to. So I think they coast in this one.
I think it's going to be 31-10.
Okay. And then the one that everybody's been waiting for.
Cleveland at Pittsburgh, Monday nighter.
Monday nighter rivalry game.
Cleveland's actually favored by 2.5.
I know. I don't know if that's based off of our win, if that's based off of their loss,
I think
or
both.
if it's based off of their losses this past week with Cam Hayward being down and Deontay Johnson being down. I think it might be a little bit of everything. But for me, we've talked about this plenty. We're excited. I think it's going to be another close one. Originally, in our first podcast previewing the season, I had us losing this game. I'm flipping the script, taking advantage of that opportunity, and I'm going to say the Browns win a close one, 23-20. I still have a lot of respect for Pittsburgh, especially us going in there. We don't have a lot of. I think it's been since 2003 we've won their place not.
I can't even stand this. You're killing me, kid.
I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. I think that.
Do you really think it's going to be 23-20?
No, I think we're going to stomp a mud hole.
Tell me what you think. Don't tell me politically correct bullshit.
All right, then if I'm.
Tell me the truth.
Okay, I think
because you already Barack Obama'd it and went against what you originally said. So.
Well, hey, I have more information now. I think.
Damn, like a politician.
Hey, okay, so if I actually had to guess this game, I think the Browns defense is going to shut them down. I think it's going to be 35-10.
I like that. Okay, that's good. That's good. I think I originally had this 42-15, and I'm going to stick with it.
Really?
Because I think Nick Chubb's going to run for about 170 yards. I think our receivers are going to be on full display. I think Stefanski has been counting down the days to this game.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that he's going to put it all out there. You're going to see the full arsenal. Well, unless we get crap weather again.
Right.
Which, if we get crap weather, I will redo my thing next week like you just did.
Right.
But I got to stick with what I originally thought at 42-15 because I don't. The only thing that scares me on their team is T.J. Watt.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of their receivers. If we shut down Cincinnati's offense, that offense does not scare me.
Right.
The only thing that scares me is T.J. Watt because they don't have Cam Hayward anymore. He's hurt. Their linebackers their defense isn't bad, but I don't think their defense is as good as Cincinnati's.
See, I'm going to be honest. TJ Watt really doesn't scare me this week. I mean, he should, but I actually have more faith in going into this week with DeJuan Jones starting than I would have Jack Conklin starting.
Well, I'm not disputing that, but TJ Watt scares me every time we play him.
Yeah,
I don't care if Joe Thomas is on the right side.
right.
I'm worried about TJ Watt.
He is a game wrecker, but I think that that's something that can be mitigated by scheme. I think DeJuan Jones is going to be able to handle him, but you're going to have Nick Chubb chipping him. You're going to have double teams and stuff. And we know that TJ Watt doesn't face the kind of double teams that Miles does. So I think we'll be able to scheme it in a way that we can mitigate some of that damage and take advantage of some of their holes.
In all honesty, both their edge rushers. TJ Watt
Highsmith's pretty good.
bothers me. Highsmith is another problem because Jed, he got to get his head out of his ass.
Well, Jed definitely, if it was, I don't know, Jed's definitely been frustrating.
Like Baby Thanos, you know who I'm talking about when I say that? Okay. Thanos, he's got a built-in excuse. It's his first start.
Right.
Jed Wills doesn't have an excuse.
Right.
And he didn't play bad last week, but he didn't play great. He didn't even play good. He played average. He was an average tackle last week.
Yep.
In my opinion, which means nothing. But if he can block up Highsmith, which I don't know. I mean, they run a 3-4.
Right.
So we'll see. I don't know.
I think it's going to be a nice cruise control game.
I do too, because I think Chubb's going to go for 170 yards. Hopefully 2 TDs, and that'd be glorious.
Yeah, let's get another win, get this winning streak rolling, kind of put the league on notice a bit. I think that'd be great. But
because we got Tennessee at home the week after.
Right. Yep, get another home game, keep the momentum rolling. I think that'd be just fantastic.
Well, I'm looking down my list of our scores we wrote down for the schedules, the schedule we did, and I think the highest score I have on us is 23 points. And that was the Jets, which now I would change that. That might be zero. That might be a 0.
Yeah, we'll see. That's a long, long ways away.
It's a long ways away, but I mean, that might be a 0.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was kind of our preview of this week, getting you ready for some of these games. Again, thanks for listening to us. You can follow us on my socials because Dad doesn't have any.
Yep.
But my socials are Justice Garber or JGarb84 on all socials. Pretty much just Justice Garber at this point now. This podcast is going to be on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and YouTube. We're trying to grow those, get more people involved. The more you guys comment, share, talk about it, the more cool things we can do, make this podcast even more fun for you guys. But we definitely appreciate it, and we're excited for next week. Talk about this win the Browns are about to
And
make.
if you're all wondering why I'm not on the socials, trust me, you don't want me on there.
All right, well, that'll do it for this week's Chillen with the Dawgs episode. We'll see you next week.
Next week.
Later. Thank you for listening to the Chillen with the Dawgs podcast. Our episodes drop Friday mornings. You can catch them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and a lot more podcasting apps to come. You can also find it on my YouTube page at Justice Garber on YouTube. And if you'd like to support the channel, you could always watch some more videos. I make all different kinds of content. And then you can also like, comment, subscribe, follow my social medias at Justice Garber. But we really appreciate you guys checking it out, and we can't wait to get more for you next week.